Alright, so I'm continuing to rivet the skin to the skeleton of the vertical stabilizer. I'm about to do this middle inspar rib here. That's step 6 on the plans. Well, part of step 6. The other part of step 6 is to go ahead and do the top rib there. So I'm going to do this one first. I'll be reaching through under here with the bucking bar and the rivet gun on top. It's 15 rivets. They're all the same size, -3.5s. 3-3.5s. So should be pretty straightforward. The plans don't make any mention of needing to follow a specific order the way they did with this nose rib. They also don't mention doing one side then the other, or alternating back and forth to keep it symmetrical or anything like that. So what I'll probably do, I think, is maybe start up here and work my way down probably every other one, and then come back and do the ones in between. I don't think I'm going to flip it back and forth. I think that made sense up here, or at least couldn't hurt anything. I think here I don't see any real advantage to doing that, and so I'm just going to go ahead and do one side, flip it over, do the other, and then move on to using the squeezer on that top rib. So let me get going on this. So I've just about decided that, at least for what I'm doing here, my table is exactly the wrong height. If it was a little lower, maybe I could sit better. If it was a little higher, higher would be better for this. But I don't think it would be better for a lot of other things that I'll be doing. I could always raise it up. If I find that higher would be better for just about everything, then I'll jack the thing up. But for now, propping it on boxes, this is working fine. So like I mentioned, I went every other rivet. That was really nice, actually. When I'm reaching up under their blind, I'm trying to make sure that I obviously get the bucking bar underneath the rivet that I'm about to buck. That's not too hard, but it's nice when you're going every other one. I can kind of feel the tips of the clecos on either side and use that as a reference. So that's helpful. So I'm getting a better feel for it. I'm still not. I'm still playing it a little safe in terms of how many times I hit it with the, how many times I buck it before I stop and either check it or move on to the next one. I did get better about, I would do like a whole row or row of every other, and then look under and check each one and come back and maybe hit some a couple more times if they need it. I'd rather do that than overdo it and have to drill anything out because I flattened them too far. But it does get easier, and I am getting better at it, so that's good. Okay. Pretty good. Okay, so I have finished the middle inspar rib. Now doing the back part of the top rib between the front spar and the rear spar. I'm going to use the squeezer, of course, because I can get to it from outside. And I'm also going to be trying out a new toy, a new tool. Sort of. I bought the foot switch for the squeezer. Wasn't cheap, but I wanted to see. I've heard it gives you better control. Maybe makes it a little easier. And in the grand scheme of things with these tools and this project, anything that makes my life easier across the whole project, is probably well worth it. So maybe it's a bit of a splurge. I don't know. I'd love to hear comments. How many people have this thing and use it? What people think of it? But I thought I'd give it a try. I suppose if I really hated it, I probably send it back or sell it. But anyway, we're going to give it a try. The way, pretty obvious the way it works. You still have to press the trigger, but you press the trigger, nothing happens, and then you step on the pedal, that's when it goes. Now, what's the point if you still got to press the trigger on here? Well, I guess maybe I could probably rig it up so there was no trigger. I could probably tape it down or use a rubber band or something like that. That's probably dangerous, don't know. Don't stick your fingers in there. But anyway, for now, if nothing else, you can go ahead and squeeze the trigger, hold it like that, get everything positioned, and then, when you're actually operating the pedal, you're not moving this thing, so maybe I'll be able to hold more still. So we'll see. I need to adjust this. So I'll start kind of big, and we'll give this a try. All right, that's good. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm somehow more coordinated with my foot than I am with my finger, but I'll keep trying it and see if I see what I think.
So if anyone's ever noticed and are curious about why every now and then I'll be talking and it sounds like someone's pouring a bucket of water out, it's because I'm right below one of the bathrooms, and of course somehow the kids know to go upstairs and flush the toilet right when I'm talking to the camera.
All right, well, camera battery died on me on the last rivet of the back part of the top rib there, but everything went great, and I thought I'd give some comments on the foot pedal for the squeezer. What do I think? I like it. I don't think everyone should run out and buy one. I do think it helps, and you get used to it, and I did find that I could control it very easily with my foot. I don't know if it was any better than I could do with the normal switch on the squeezer. I'll keep it and keep using it and probably get better at it, and yeah, I mean, in general, I liked the thing. Again, I'm not sure that it just revolutionized my squeezing, but I do think it helped. While I was waiting for the battery to charge a little bit, I went ahead and I Clecoed the bottom inspar rib back into place. That's the next step, is to basically rivet this guy in. So I'll rivet it here and here, basically rivet it to the spars themselves, and then rivet the skin. So riveting to the spar is going to be interesting. In an earlier video where I was putting the skeleton together, I said I learned that order mattered, even if the plans didn't specify an order. Sometimes think it through, because doing the rivets that held these rib, the inspar, or the middle rib to the spar here, I did them last or later on in the process of riveting the skeleton together, and I wish I'd done them first. It would have made it easier. Well, and I commented in that video that these were going to be no problem because I didn't have a spar right here in my way. Well, I spoke too soon, because I still can't get the squeezer to really go up in here. It would probably work for this one. These others, it's tight. I've got some of these Clecos out to see if that helped, but basically this part of the body of the squeezer, just hits up in here. Maybe I could shove things into place, but it didn't really seem like that was going to work out too well, and it's not like I had a choice on the order of this. This has to happen right now and no earlier. So what I'm probably going to do, I've tried a couple of different yokes. I've got this flange nose yoke. It doesn't make any difference because it's it's where the body hits. So anyway, what I threatened in that earlier video was, you know, if I can't figure out how to do it with the squeezer, I'll just buck it, because by then I should be pretty good at bucking rivets. And so that's what I'm going to do. I've got this offset set right here. This should allow me to, you know, get in here. It's got a 1/8 universal head cup on it, whatever. And you know, that should allow me to get in there, no problem. So you know, and just do these 3 like this, and I guess these 3 as well. I've got my bucking bar sort of padded because you know, it's been leaving some marks in the primer inside some of the riveting I've done, and you know, it doesn't really bother me too much. It's on the inside, you can't see it, it's not going to be a big deal. Out here, you know, this will be covered up once the plane's assembled, but that'll be years from now, and I don't want to look at a bunch of scrapes on this if I can help it. So I did figure I'd go ahead and, you know, pad this and see if I can keep things a little cleaner. So we'll see how that goes. So that's what's next. This takes 3 different sizes of rivets. These are, well, they're all 470/84s, so 1/8 rivets. But these are -4s right here, because they're going through flange, spar, and flange for this guy. These down here, these 2 are much longer. They're 470/84-7s because they go through, you know, flange, this doubler, the spar web, and the spar caps. This one is a -6 because it only goes through the doubler and well, the flange, the doubler, and the spar web, but no spar caps. So 3 different sizes. Gotta watch what you're doing, but you know, hopefully this will go smoothly with the bucking. So I'll get at it. All right, well, confession, I gave up trying to record myself doing these rivets. It just got so frustrating trying to figure out how to record it, and I honestly spent, you may notice it's dark outside. It wasn't dark a minute ago. Well, that's because I spent a lot of time fiddling around just trying to get the right angle, trying to figure out the best way to do this. I went back and forth. I said I was going to use the rivet gun with the offset set in it. Then I started thinking maybe I would try and use the squeezer, went back to the rivet gun. What I finally ended up doing, and you may notice there's a bunch of clecos removed, even that offset set that I had was so long that it would cause me to hit, and you know, this spar is at a slight angle this way, so you know, I needed to be back here a little bit. What I ended up doing, well, first of all, I ran the rivet through the other way. Doesn't matter. The plans don't tell you one way or the other. These are flush head and they have to go in, you know, this way, but these are universal. They go through this way, but these here, I ran them through that way. What that allowed me to do was to take out the clecos here, and these here, I put them back at this point, but I took the clecos out, was able to sort of, you know, that let me push this rib in a little bit, you know, just sort of bend it in. They're flexible. And then I could get this gun with this set up in there just fine and buck them that way. That worked fine. It's a little messy. I had put some paper towel and stuff around the end to try to not scrape up my primer, but truth is I slipped off once and scraped it up anyway. So they don't look great, but they're the rivets themselves are totally fine. They're in spec. You know, it's done. This is on the outside of, what's on the outside of this piece, this stabilizer. It'll be on the inside of the plane once, you know, it's in place on the tail cone and the fairings are there and everything. But you know, this will be exposed for a long time. Next time I have primer mixed up to prime the rudder or something, I may touch this up a little bit. I fix that. So anyway, you know, that's, if someone else has a better way to have done this, please let me know, because you know, I feel like some of these pieces that I assumed would be easy I'm making them harder than they are, and it's probably either just lack of experience or maybe lack of incorrect expectations. The things I think are going to be hard are easy, and the things I think are going to be a piece of cake sometimes are more difficult than than I first thought. So anyway, but it's together. I'm going to go ahead and do these, which should not be a problem. Usually, that's what I think now, right? And after that, it's just along the spar with the squeezer, and right here. So, still plan on finishing tonight. So I better get to it.
So down here, no problem using the squeezer as long as there's nothing to get in the way of the body of the squeezer. It's simple. So these next two rivets are a little longer, -4s, I think, if memory serves, instead of 3.5s, because they're going through skin and spar flange, and then the little tab on that inspar rib. And you might notice I've got a piece of blue tape in about every third hole along this rib. And those are the holes that take the fairing screws, and so they don't take a rivet. You can see those will be the ones I end up leaving the clecos in as I go. There's also a piece of tape, really hard to see, along that rear spar near the top of the stabilizer. That's to remind me that at that point I need to switch from I think a 3-5. Basically I need to go to a longer rivet because the rivet will be going through the spar cap. Pretty hard to mess that up as well because when you're doing it, you can see that you're about to start going through the spar cap, but just in case.
All right, so I've made a lot of progress while waiting for the camera battery to charge, and so what I've got going on here, I've seen other people do this. I basically just clamped the rear spar to the table here. It's pretty loose. It really is just, most of the weight is down here on this padded box. You can tell it's not really putting any strain on that thing. It's just keeping it from falling over. And yeah, that just lets me just go right along, do all these rivets with the squeezer. So these up here I've already done. These are more AN 426 3-3.5s. Same thing I've been using pretty much everywhere because these just rivet the skin to the spar flange. These here go through the skin, the spar flange, and the spar cap. So these are AN 426 AD3-4.5s. So they're 4.5s, and so a little bit longer. And yeah, I've already done all of these. Didn't take too long. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and hopefully the battery lasts that long. After that, just a few more rivets, and I'm done. So yeah.
So in case you're wondering, I'm not using the foot pedal switch for the squeezer at this point. I found it a little awkward to try and do it when I was standing up. Now, you'll see in a minute it really comes into its own when I'm doing this, the next step.
All right, squeezer is very consistent, so that is it. Well, it's not it, but it's almost it. A few more rivets down here, and that will be it.
So yeah, here I'm sitting down, I'm using the foot pedal, and it really did make things easier and more efficient. I just went ahead and put a rivet in each hole, every other hole, and then moved right along. Just held down the switch and with my thumb and stepped on the pedal. So yeah, so you know, that, it really did make it easier there. So I did like having it. I'm sure I won't, I won't be able to use it everywhere. I'll use it when it's convenient or helpful. I won't when it's not, but you know. So this is the next to last step. The last step on the vertical stabilizer is the bottom rudder hinge bracket. That's the part that I showed in an earlier video that Vans has, upgraded, or they sent me, the newer version of it after it was back ordered. Unfortunately, through operator error with the camera, I managed to not record that last step. So I'm kind of bummed about that, but to be perfectly honest, it's not all that exciting. It was just screwing in 4 screws. So I'll include some stills of it. So there it is. That was the last step. Again, four screws, some washers and nuts, screwing that bracket on. You can see the rudder stop in there as well. And that's it. Vertical stabilizer is complete. And now I move on to the rudder.